Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, we just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you all for watching. We truly appreciate your support. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, it's totally free, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest stories. Now, with all that said, let's jump straight into the story.
The fog clung to St. Avellini's like a shroud, blurring the edges of the towering, Gothic structure into a spectral silhouette against the bruised twilight sky. For Claire Delaney, the fog was just another familiar blanket in the suffocating atmosphere of her life. A seasoned night shift nurse, she was a ghost haunting the sterile halls of the hospital, a phantom herself since the breakdown that had fractured her already fragile existence. Rebuilding was a slow, agonizing process, and the night shift, with its predictable quiet and the occasional hum of resuscitation machines, was her chosen battlefield. But tonight, her battlefield had shifted. Dr. Marcus Finn, the hospital administrator whose very presence exuded an aura of sterile order, a man who valued protocol over intuition, had reassigned her. "You're on Wing D, Delaney. Inventory and catalog. Demolition is scheduled for the end of the week." His voice, devoid of warmth, echoed in the cavernous administrative office. Wing D. The name itself was a whispered legend, a place sealed off since the late 1980s after a fire and a string of inexplicable patient deaths. Officially condemned. Unofficially, a black spot on St. Avellini's otherwise meticulously scrubbed reputation. As Claire's heavy-duty flashlight beam cut through the oppressive darkness of Wing D's main corridor, the silence pressed in. Flickering fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting twitchy, elongated shadows that danced like specters. The once gleaming white tiles were stained with age, a roadmap of yellowing grime and rust-colored streaks near the floor drains. Wheelchairs sat like skeletal sentinels, their cracked leather seats hinting at forgotten fates. Gurneys missing wheels lay overturned. Surgical tools, abandoned mid-procedure, still bore the faint, coppery tang of dried blood. The air was a chilling blend of antiseptic, mold, and a something else, a faint, Swedish decay. Her task was straightforward: catalog the abandoned medical equipment. But as she moved deeper into the wing, the silence grew heavier, punctuated by the phantom echoes of distant footsteps that always ceased when she paused. A garbled phrase crackled from a defunct intercom. "Code Blue. Room 413. Repeating on a loop, a macabre lullaby. Then she found it. Room 413. Unlike the surrounding decay, this room was eerily preserved. The door, surprisingly, was ajar, revealing an interior bathed in a soft, steady light. The fluorescent bulb above the bed hummed with an unnatural vitality. The room was clean, almost sterile, untouched by the ravages of time that had consumed the rest of the wing. And in the center of it all, a man lay in the bed, eyes wide open, unblinking, fixed on the ceiling. Claire's breath hitched. He was alive. His skin was pale, smooth, unlined. His chest rose and fell with a gentle rhythm. A monitor beside the bed displayed stable vitals, a stark contrast to the desolation surrounding it. The patient chart, crisp and unblemished, bore a single name: John M., admitted July 15, 1987. Admitted in 1987. But the chart indicated he was still actively receiving care. Claire's professional instinct screamed alarm, yet a chilling stillness held her captive. She glanced at her watch, then at the large analog clock on the wall above the bed. It was frozen at 3:17 a.m. She checked her own watch again. It too had stopped. A cold dread prickled her skin. She backed out of the room, her heart hammering against her chest. As the door clicked shut behind her, she glanced at her watch. It had jumped forward an hour. The discovery consumed Claire. Against her better judgment, against the unspoken warnings that seemed to emanate from the very walls of Wing D, she returned night after night. She meticulously documented John's unchanging state, sketching the room, taking discreet photographs. The unblinking eyes, the frozen clock, the persistent impossibility of it all gnawed at her. Security footage, reviewed by a perplexed Dr. Finn, showed Claire standing in room 413, seemingly frozen herself for hours. To her, only minutes had passed. One night, as she restocked her supplies in the darkened corridor outside the East Wing's sealed entrance, a hunched figure emerged from the shadows. It was Old Man Hemlock, a janitor who'd worked at St. Avellini's for 50 years, his face a roadmap of weary resignation. He'd seen her, a flicker of recognition in his rheumy eyes. "Others went in before, nurse," he'd rasped, his voice like dry leaves skittering across pavement. "They didn't come back the same." He'd shuffled away, leaving Claire with a fresh layer of unease. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Claire delved into the hospital's archives. John's file was a ghost itself, sparse and contradictory. But buried deep within the archived incident reports from the late 80s, she found a disturbing pattern. Staff who had been assigned to room 413, nurses and orderlies alike, had either disappeared without a trace or had died under mysterious circumstances shortly after their assignment. A chilling premonition settled over her. Her research led her to a name, Eli Grant. The man claimed to be John's brother. He'd been tracked through a long-forgotten address listed in an old hospital directory. Eli, a wiry man with haunted eyes that mirrored her own growing anxieties, spoke of John's fascination with the esoteric. He believed he had a gift, Claire, Eli explained, his voice low and urgent. A psychic ability. He called it temporal anchoring. The power to resist time itself. Eli's story was fragmented, laced with the agony of a 30-year mystery. John disappeared right here in this hospital. He'd been working on something, researching it. Said he was close to finding this still point. As the days bled into nights, the boundaries of Claire's reality began to fray. She started losing time, her internal clock desynchronizing with the world around her. She'd wake up from short naps to find hours had vanished. Her dreams became a disorienting reel of reversed events, conversations played backward, actions undone. Walking down the hospital corridors, she'd catch glimpses of people moving in reverse, their steps retracing unsaid paths. The hospital's myriad clocks seemed to glitch and stutter as she passed, their hands momentarily freezing. During a scheduled power maintenance, the entire hospital plunged into darkness. The emergency lights bathed Wing D in a flickering, blood-red gloom. Compelled by an irresistible force, Claire found herself drawn to room 413. The door creaked open, revealing the faint, steady glow from within. As she stepped inside, a chorus of disembodied whispers seemed to coil around her. "He's holding time still, for someone," the words slithered into her mind, foreign yet disturbingly familiar. In the pulsing red light, her gaze fell upon John's chart, and her breath caught in her throat. Her own name was now written there, beneath John's. The same admission date, July 15, 1987. Dr. Finn summoned her to his office immediately. His face was a mask of professional displeasure, his eyes sharp and accusatory. "Delaney, I am ordering you to cease all unauthorized access to Wing D. This is a matter of hospital policy, and frankly, your recent behavior is concerning." He paused, his gaze drilling into her. "Wing D will be demolished in 48 hours. That is final." The demolition order solidified Claire's growing certainty. John wasn't just a patient, he was a temporal anchor, a living stasis. And he wasn't just holding himself still, he was holding something still. A memory? A singular, catastrophic event? Or someone? She felt an overwhelming sense of dread, a chilling premonition that the demolition would shatter not just a wing of the hospital, but something far more profound. The air in room 413 was thick, heavy with an unspoken truth. The demolition crew was scheduled to begin in mere hours. Claire stepped inside for what she knew would be the last time. The room felt smaller, tighter, as if the very fabric of reality was straining. She approached John's bedside, her voice barely a whisper. "John? What did you do? Why are you still here?" As her words hung in the unnaturally still air, the soft light above the bed flickered, then intensified, bathing the room in an ethereal glow. The room began to darken, not with the absence of light, but as if time itself was being siphoned away. Suddenly, Claire was no longer in the present. She was a child again, the year 1987. The sterile scent of the hospital was sharper, more immediate. A frantic voice, a younger, terrified version of her own, cried out. She saw herself, a small girl lying on a gurney, bleeding. A horrific accident, a blur of shattered glass and twisted metal. A lot of pain. Then, nothing. The scene shifted. A younger man, his eyes filled with a strange, luminous empathy, knelt beside her. He wore the uniform of St. Avelini's, but his presence was different, radiating a calm power. John. He was the psychic nurse from the trauma ward that night. He hadn't been tending to a patient. He had been tending to her. In that moment of agonizing, irreversible death, he had found his still point, room 413. He had anchored her, holding her in a breath before the end, a timeless pocket where life could cling, however precariously. The vision shattered, leaving Claire gasping, reeling. The truth, brutal and absolute, slammed into her. She was never supposed to have survived that accident. Her entire life, every memory, every experience since that night, was a borrowed echo, a temporal anomaly sustained by John's silent, unyielding sacrifice. She was the paradox, and now the demolition was coming. John could no longer hold the moment. With a guttural roar, time violently reasserted itself within room 413. The monitors shrieked, their screens exploding in showers of sparks. The walls, seconds ago pristine, now visibly aged, the paint peeling, plaster crumbling. The body of John began to shift, his skin darkening, his form flickering as the decades rushed back in. Claire felt a searing pain, a sensation of unmaking. Her hands began to fade, becoming translucent. She stumbled out of the collapsing room, a phantom of a phantom, her desperate escape a race against oblivion. She burst out of Wing D, leaving the deafening roar of destruction behind her, her lungs burning with the cold, damp air of the corridor. She ran, not knowing where, she just wanted to get away. But as she reached the main hospital lobby, the familiar hum of activity felt alien. People bustled past her, their eyes sliding over her as if she were made of smoke. She tried to grab a passing orderly's arm, but her hand passed through him. She reached for her ID badge, her fingers phasing right through the plastic. Her name wasn't on the shift board. Her locker was empty. No one remembered Claire Delaney. The next day, early morning, the fog still clung to St. Avelini's. A new nurse, her uniform crisp and new, her face bright with the promise of a long career, stood at the entrance to the newly cleared lot where Wing D once stood. She held a clipboard, ticking off an inventory list. Her supervisor's voice crackled through her earpiece. Final sweep, Miller. Ensure all structural integrity is noted before the demolition team proceeds. She nodded, then paused as her gaze drifted to a small, nondescript building that had inexplicably survived the demolition's fiery embrace. It was the former entrance to Wing D. The door was ajar, revealing a dimly lit corridor. Miller stepped inside, her curiosity piqued. The air was cold still. She walked down the familiar, echoing corridor. And then she saw it. Room 413. The door was sealed shut with fresh, concrete plaster. But through a small, barred observation window, Miller could see inside. A figure lay motionless in the bed, eyes wide open, unblinking, fixed on the ceiling. A monitor beside the bed displayed stable vitals. The clock on the wall above the bed read 3:17 a.m. The figure in the bed was Claire. Let us know in the comments section what you would have done when you first met John. Would you have kept going back to room 413 every night?
Ready for spine-chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts? Subscribe to Forgotten Storyteller for eerie narrations, unsettling mysteries, and haunting stories you won't forget. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, because some stories refuse to stay buried. Join us, if you dare,